Hello, friends, and welcome to M3 Live number 9, Drifting Apart and Crashing Together, part 3 of mine and my co-host Tyler Cetera's deep dive into Blink-182, their entire career. I'm your host, Alex Walski. Again, Tyler Cetera, my co-host, permanent co-host, pretty much. This show is this now. I may have a guest every now and again, but this is a lot more fun. I enjoy
No guests, only Blink-182.
That's it. Yeah. So this isn't going to stop at 9, which is the latest Blink-182 album. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep following them hard. You ready for that, man?
My brain hurts.
Yeah,
I just
we're not
emailed you 17 pages of madness.
It really is. This is concerning because the last episode we did was an hour and 40 minutes, and that was, I think, 5 pages of notes.
It was something like that. It was a lot less notes. The further along in their career we get, there's just so much more social media and information. And then this one, I mean, so much happens through like their breakups, and honestly, I just have a ton of information on the Untitled stuff as well.
Oh yeah, and I can say this off the bat. This is so self-titled or untitled, whatever you want to call it. That's coming up right now. Decidedly the best Blink-182 album. I mean, just by far, it's easy. It's one of the greatest albums ever made. I strongly believe that. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first episode we talked about what our favorite episode was, or favorite albums are, and End of the State, like I said, was my favorite, but I love and respect this album the most. When we start going over the recording, just because we are musicians, we've been in the studio together a couple times now.
Mm-hmm.
We have a basic understanding of recording an album.
Yeah,
they recorded this album bonkers. Just
went against the grain in every possible way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it, but it was and I knew a lot of this stuff a little bit, but once I actually started diving in a little more, I was like, good lordy.
I'm excited. It's something they live streamed. If you like live streaming, see me over at twitch.tv/Kilgo92. Dab. I play games there sometimes. That's where I release these videos, and also Kilgo92 on YouTube. That is where these come out, the video version. If you're listening, maybe you're listening, maybe you're not. But that's the only plugs. I don't chill for money on the Kilgo shit. I do that. I save that for when I'm with Tom.
Catch me out front of my house doing yard work and at work.
Thinking about Blink-182. All right, so let's just start, man. We left this journey off, part 2, from Barkers and Boxcars, because I had to edit the title in the middle of the episode. We left it at Boxcar Racer, so Tom DeLonge underwent this really, it's best, I guess, a passion project. It was a little more than that. I mean, I'm sure he made some money off of it, but it was the Tom album. It was pretty much the sound he wanted to bring to Blink-182 in 2001. Didn't really get a chance to do. Caused a bit of a rift in the band because he stole Travis Barker for a little bit. And things are kind of tensions building. Things are getting weird. But the band now enters the studio in 2003. Again, recording with Jerry Finn. This will sadly be his last album with them. But let's just get into that. They enter the house. The three of them have just become fathers. We know all about the fatherhood game and how being a musician, especially touring and having children, I don't understand how it's possible.
Especially because I've seen them a little bit now. Now everybody tours with their whole family. Like Travis's bus is stupid. It's a mansion, and he brings his entire family with him everywhere. So at least now, at this point in their career, they have money to be able to bring their family along. Oh, yeah. But it's still hard.
Multi-millionaires, yeah, and it's when you can live in luxury like that, that's awesome. But I bet even during Untitled and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket days, they don't have that kind of money to fly their families around, and they were touring hard as shit. It's one of the reasons why they kind of start to break up here is that Tom DeLonge wants to take 6 months off. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We'll get back, but I just thought that doesn't seem unreasonable. 6 months?
I feel like 6 months isn't shit. And if anything, like, we'll get to that. I have my opinions.
We will. But so they come together. I'm gonna thumb through the notes a little bit here because it does bum me out that this is Jerry Finn's final album. He does go on to pass away, I think, a month before the plane crash. Excuse me.
He does executive produce the Plus 44 album, so he does at least work with Mark and Travis one more time. But this is the last, full band, because technically he wasn't the producer on that one. So this is the last one where he's like, a member of the band and all in, and their opus.
It was, that's what I put there. It was their magnum opus, and we talked about your favorite album being Enema, and I really love Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, but I think this is agreeably their best, and it created the biggest impact. Your favorite isn't necessarily the best. It's just what appeals nostalgic. To you. Yeah, it's nostalgic. It's the connection you make to the album, and I have a massive connection to this one. But you put a couple notes down here that I actually thought were really interesting. I never heard of this. So Travis Barker enters production for the album by telling the guys to not think of the album as the next album, but the first album.
I like that a lot. That's a good. It's because the whole issue with Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was they were like, all right, MCA was like, we want Enema again. Return of the Enema. That's what we want. We just go ahead and pump that out. Give us that summertime feel. Mm-hmm. And with this album, this is when MCA merges with Geffen. And Geffen handles their artists a little differently. And with this album especially, they're giving so much leeway. I think they record this out, 8 months. I think that's what it was.
Wow.
So obviously it's the longest time they've ever recorded. And when they were making their demos, unlike Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, where they brought only acoustic joke songs like Fuck Your Dog and When I Fucked Hitler, like other than bringing only those songs, they played for Geffen, which they had a great relationship with, a couple songs, and they came down and they were just like, this will be your greatest album. Take as long as you want. Call us when you're ready.
Nice.
It's like we don't even, no need to even talk about it anymore. Like, this is going to be amazing. Do your thing. I don't want to get in the way. See you when it's over.
It feels like there had to have been music people who worked at Geffen, like people who know good music, not marketable music, because pop music, it does well. Like for real, like top 40 radio, like truly. It sells well, people enjoy it, but like classic albums, dude, the Eagles' greatest hits will still hop on the charts every now and again. That shit made fucking it made the money of economies of small countries. I'm sure Self-Titled did, not like that level, but pretty close to it. Like a complete piece of work like that's so good with like 4 or 5 banging ass fucking singles. It makes you wonder why labels aren't more patient with every band that's proven themselves, pretty much. Like if they've given you 1 or 2 good albums, let them take a year on their third. Why not? And I think that's pretty neat. So, did you read anything about like I know MCA merged with Geffen. Were people that pissed them off at MCA? Like, did they not come over to Geffen, or what made the relationship better? Did you read anything about that?
I think they just had a new contact. His name's on my notes somewhere. He comes up again because he's their contact for everybody's, because everybody's under like Angels and Airwaves and Plus 44. Everybody does all their bands under Geffen. So like this one guy is their kind of like Jacob something. But yeah, I guess they just had a good relationship. They were probably one of the bigger acts, I'm sure, on the list. I remember looking at all the people they were signed, because I think they're also, because Geffen and MC, there's so many companies all like merged into one. I went down a rabbit hole of who owns who, And David Geffen actually left Geffen Records to go start DreamWorks. And like I went down a huge rabbit hole of just like corporate ladders and who owns who. I think Interscope is in there.
We'll do a side episode on the corporate ladders of all the record companies.
I should send you 2 sets of notes. One set of notes that's actually about our topic, and then the other set is just useless shit nobody needs to know about.
Well, that's what that's why I got to get a Patreon going, because we'll post them up there. Just the mad ramblings of Tyler. It is like these notes. They really are pretty fucking crazy. All right, But like moving on here, I saw another note that they tried to create this definitely shines through, a different sound, a guitar sound for each song. Now they didn't change up the Travis Barker's Travis Barker. You know when he's playing the drums. One thing that's always stayed consistent with Blink-182 is the bass tone. I mean, maybe the riffs have changed, but Mark Hoppus's bass tone has always been consistent in a good way. I mean that in a absolutely good way. But the guitar on this record and the way it changes from each and every song, it makes you really appreciate how fucking good Tom DeLonge is at playing the guitar.
So, I mean, honestly, all 3 of them did a ton of changing with this. So Boxcar Racer, we talked about how like that was when Tom got to finally start kind of experimenting with pedals. He had never really used pedals before with his guitar. So that idea and experimenting a little bit with sounds, and that's like the beginning of that, which eventually leads to Angels and Airwaves. And then you have rocks in like a glass and in a cup that they just shake around for 2 hours. Like it all leads to it. But yeah, and leading up to this album, inspiration that they pulled, actually I didn't even realize it, which is funny because my first tattoo is, I don't know if you can kind of see it,
Bad Astronaut.
It's a Bad Astronaut tattoo, and I got this because I didn't want to get a Blink tattoo because I didn't, I just wanted like a tattoo that nobody necessarily would know, but it still kind of represented all the punk rock kind of stuff. The Bad Astronaut album came out right before they started writing and recording, and they loved it because they all knew Lagwagon and Joey Cape, and Bad Astronaut's album directly affected how they wanted to write this album, which I didn't know until I started doing this research, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. So the tattoo I did get.
Is that the one with the linoleum cover on it?
Yes. That because they put out 2 albums, and linoleum's one. I haven't listened to them actually in a long time.
Yeah, well, that linoleum, that version of Linoleum is the one that I play, and I haven't played a show in a really long time. But when I start playing again, that's definitely going to be in my set. And that the way that Bad Astronaut does it is the way that I play it. I love that so much. It's so fucking good. Please listen to it. So if you have no idea what we're talking about, and you probably don't, but look up Bad Astronaut and jam the fuck out to them.
It's Joey Cape from Lagwagon's, I don't know, sadder side band.
Because
it's his Boxcar Racer.
Yeah, it's his Boxcar Racer. It is.
Yeah, like he took the drummer and he went. Well, the drummer passed away, but he was taking the drummer and went, and that's what he did. But anyway, so the sounds on this album, I got the list of everything that they had in the recording studio.
Lay it on us.
And it was like 70 guitars, 30 amps, 30 and 40 snare drums, 6 drum kits, like tons of keyboards, turntables, pianos. It was all of like Jerry Finn's collection and all the shit that they owned.
All the swag.
Yeah, I saw like some videos, and like I said, at the time they actually live streamed when they were writing and recording, because they moved into a house, which I tried to figure out who owned this house. I found the house, found the address, found it on Google Maps.
You're a fucking stalker with this shit. First the van, now the Blink house.
But it's funny because they think, oh god, now I'm trying to remember the name. But the last name of the people that own the house is the same last name of Angels and Airwaves drummer right now. And so I was trying to figure out if there's relation. I don't think there is, because I don't think Tom and the drummer had even met at this point.
No.
I don't think they meet until years later.
It was Adam Willard for a while. He's really
It's not it was the guy from Phoenix TX, or however you pronounce that. It's that drummer. So it's later Angels and Airways. But I went down a rabbit hole trying to figure out who owned this house, because they got kicked out after like 3 or 4 months because they were just being ridiculous. But when they were recording, I got to see like all the crazy stuff they used.
Did they get kicked out of the house, the recording house?
Yeah.
Oh, so they didn't finish the album in the recording house?
No. They got a lot done there, but they didn't finish there. They got kicked out and had to go to...
I didn't know that. I had no idea. I thought it was all right. I thought every bit of it was done there. So I'm learning things on this podcast.
Yep.
What? Do you know what happened? Like,
I mean, if I had to get, so they turned the garage into the smoke room where they could smoke. I think it was like mad hella weed or something like that. And they rented porn on pay-per-view 24/7. They had it. That's all they did. I think Tom was saying like, if I wasn't smoking all the weed, like from Colombia, I was watching all of the porn. It's like I could have, there's a small country's GDP or whatever GDP.
Well, this album definitely made it back at everything. Like, it was all worth it. I saw I do remember watching some of the live streams on YouTube when YouTube first started coming around, like in 06, 07. People would post clips, and I saw they destroyed the cock guitar.
Yeah,
which they'd had for forever, like forever. At least I think so. Like that, I remember seeing him playing it live and shit. If they just fucking break it, they don't. Shit.
I actually don't think they did that at the house. I think they made it look like they did it at the house, but I'm pretty sure they actually did that at the studio. I'm pretty sure I found that in the notes or like somewhere in because I always thought they did it at the house, and
I feel slighted that they got that ruins it. Kind of ruins the aura for me a little bit.
I mean, they're in there a long time. I guess that's what they took, about 8 months and a little extra time to record, and I think it was like 4 months in the house, something like that. I mean, they got most of it done, and the way they recorded, they did it. I think we did it in Wise Eyes, where we just went into the studio and we would work on like two songs a night, but we would all record together.
Yes.
And that's what they wanted to do here. They wrote, so Tom and Mark, I think they pretty much stayed at the house. Travis didn't stay at the house. He had just started dating. I don't think he was married yet, but dating Shayna Mokler.
Was this the one? Was this? So this is the one he did Meet the Barkers with, right?
Yes. And so they just gotten together, and so he was living in LA. So he drove from LA to San Diego every day because he didn't want to stay at the house.
Jesus, how far of a drive? We did that. That's like a couple hours, isn't it?
I think it was like 2 hours. So he drove 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, and but they, that way they could. You can obviously see the difference between writing and recording together in the same room, and not. It's the difference between Untitled and Neighborhoods, like which we'll get to later.
Yeah,
but so basically, all the stuff they were doing, like I read stuff like Mark. There's a MTV backstage video where Mark had this 6-string bass, and I didn't know what the hell he was using it for, and I figured out he used it on the song "All of This."
Is it the one that looks like a guitar, or is it an actual legit 6-string bass?
I think it looks like a guitar. And it was a 6-string guitar looking bass. It was like turned an octave down, and I saw it and I was like, what the fuck does he play that on? And I think it's All of This. And it was like I know it was a Fender something.
I'm pulling up a picture of it right now because I want the people at home to see it, because I know exactly what it is. Charles Cavusi has one. They are
Yeah.
super sexy. Hold on. I got a good fucking picture of it up right here. Boom. I'm gonna screen share with you so you can see it. Hold on. Give me a second. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
That's it. Is it that?
I think that was the one. Yeah, it might have been a different color, but that looks.
It's one of these.
It was
yes.
like a vibe. Yeah.
So that is also another fun fact because I have this weird fixation on that. I've tried to play one of those before. I can't do it. It's so. It's just weird. It really is weird and it's different. It has a great tone. It's fantastic, but I don't know. I just like the bigness of a bass. It just weirds my hands out. But as soon as you mention
so many strings,
it is. But as soon as you mentioned that, like I knew exactly what that was. That was the bass that John Lennon would use whenever they because he played bass on Hey Jude. You can see it in the music video. Mm-hmm. He's playing one of those in the Hey Jude music video. So fun fact.
Nice.
Okay, we'll move on a little bit after some fun facts.
Other recording stuff.
Robert Smith. Talk about Robert Smith. I love this.
Robert Smith. Let's hold on. Let me hit other stuff before I get to Robert Smith because that was funny. Because we kind of start breaking down songs and stuff. So when it comes to the recording stuff, I mean, they were mixing and recording literally up to the last second. The Geffen kept calling for the record because once it got to a point, they were like, okay, let's release it this day. And then they would call up and be like, all right, you guys going to send it over? And they'd be like, no, we need another week. And they kept mixing it. And literally right until Geffen was like, okay, I'm going to give you, Geffen did end up giving him a hard date, but it was more of one of those, like, you just got to say it's finished at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't even like rushing. It was just like, we're going to do you a favor. And because they kept letting him push it. And they're all perfectionists. And they're just like, we're going to do you a favor. We're going to give you that hard line. He's like, you have until this day. And then that's the product. He's like, you guys just got to roll with it.
And it worked out.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they had all these different mic techniques. They had like I forget what song. I think I'll have the notes. It might have been Stenia or something.
Yes.
But they had like one of those rotating mics, which sounds really cool. Where it's literally just on a spindle. It just spins around and it catches your voice and it sounds, very spacey, which is right up Tom's alley.
Oh, and, yeah, that's a bit of an understatement. Space Cadet Tom DeLonge. Well, I remember reading something real quick about how do you say it? Astenia? I love that song.
Astenia.
Astenia.
I think it's what it is.
So the beginning, like that. They have real. You put in the notes here. They use real NASA comms for that beginning part, but that sound that at the beginning, that's a tube in Tom DeLonge's amp dying, and they picked up the sound. And it's so good. And I remember reading in an interview, he was like, we just picked up this like beautiful, tragic type sound, and it felt like it really fit with the song. And it leads right into the drum beat. That may be my favorite song on the record. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, that's one I'll go back to. That one and like Down I listen to a lot. It's probably because I'll play like guitar to that, but Down actually was supposed to have like a whole drum and bass. Like it used to be like a crazy long song, 6 minutes.
Jesus Christ!
And it had like a drum and bass breakdown. I think instead of putting the breakdown in there, they just gave like Travis like a whole interlude. They're just like, "Hey man, you just go have fun, go do your thing." But yeah, there's no joke songs on this album. They talked about. They actually had an active conversation about kind of joke songs, and because they were like, "Nah, we want to take this seriously. Like, we're actually putting our all into this, and I don't want to mess with any of that." Because even the stuff they wrote about, like honestly, it's kind of the problem I have with later albums. But they were growing up, like you said, they're all fathers now. A lot of this album is. It's not the classic, like, singing about high school. Like, they sang about much older stuff and started getting... they were darker, but they just started singing about more grown-up shit.
It's a natural progression. It was a natural progression of their lives, and it's something I wish would happen more with, like, there's certain products. Excuse me. And a couple of examples I can give you is like Super Mario. That is always going to be geared to a younger audience, and it's going to stay where it's, you know what I mean? You're not going to grow. Mario isn't going to become some dark, you know, you're not going to get dark Mario. You get Mario.
Yeah.
Pokemon. Pokemon doesn't get dark. It stays Pokemon. Like, you're a young person, and you kind of either grow out of it or you enjoy the fandom as much as you can, even though it's still aimed at children. A lot of musicians, you got to understand, your fan base grows up with you. They get older with you. I feel like you should touch on more mature themes. And again, it does. I'm so glad you brought that up, because it does bother me on some later albums where they could have took more risks and didn't. But let's, you know, we'll save that for other episodes. This one does feel like the natural, like, we're growing up. We're fathers now. Come grow up with us. I mean, how many Blink-182 fans that, let's say, were, I don't know, 18 when they first heard Dude Ranch, how many of them became fathers by the time 2003 rolled around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, it makes sense. And I am appreciative of them trusting their fan base enough, because this isn't, it could have gone either way, because this wasn't as it was poppy. You know, you have feeling this and shit like that, but they really took a pretty drastic turn in the sound and the stuff that made them Blink-182. And again, it paid off, but I can appreciate the risk that they took.
Yeah. So they didn't have any joke songs, but they did have joke titles. Really? That you know, they told, like, their friends and stuff they were going to call it just to mess with them. I think there's 3 of them I found. Diarrhea de Janeiro instead of Rio de Janeiro. Vasectomy, vasecto you. And Use Your Erection 1 and 2, which is like a parody of the Guns N' Roses album, Use Your Illusion. So they did have, like, some fun with it, you know. But,
did they say what songs those matched up to? Or
what, the titles?
Yeah, or no, they're just
those were just joke album titles, because the whole thing was like they were trying to come up with a name for the album, and they were just titles. We didn't. Yeah, they were just kind of like, we don't want to give it a joke name. Honestly, let's just not give it a name at all.
Mm-hmm.
And
you call it untitled.
Yeah,
I call it self-titled. No, yeah, I call it self-titled. You call it untitled.
I can't remember if I put that in there or not, but I was like, the big debate: is it untitled? Is it self-titled?
Mm-hmm.
I think Mark calls it untitled, so I went with Mark.
Yeah,
I settled with what he says.
It's just Blink-182, like, you know, that's what the album is listed as, and I think that's cool. Every now and again, there's no point in naming an album.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull this back up here. So I guess we're at the point where we kind of dive into a few of these songs.
Yep.
And I do want to share our favorites at the end of this, because this is different. There really is. You said we're not doing Who Won the Album, because this is such a group effort.
You can't do Who Won the Album. They all won the album on this one.
Everyone.
I started trying to put that game together, and I was like, all these fuckers sing and wrote every goddamn song together in the same room. Like, I think the first three or four songs on the album, both Mark and Tom, like, split singing duties.
Hmm.
So
but if you were gonna ask me,
I'm not even gonna try and divide anything up. Like, they all put so much into each song, and
yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I still would give, like, if you asked me, I'd give it to Tom, because Tom DeLonge, the guitar, the singing, you could tell that he was not the only driving force, but he was kind of like come on, let's change. You know,
yeah.
A lot of that was him, but again, all of them, just the 3 of them came together to make something beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And so a lot of the writing model was, you know, we can kind of start getting into individual song notes and stuff like that. So we'll start with Feeling This. The reason you can't do Who Won This Album is because they wrote a lot of songs like they wrote Feeling This. Feeling This was the first song they wrote. And the way they wrote the lyrics was Mark and Tom went into separate rooms, and they both wrote, you know, verse and a chorus, and they came back and they were like, all right, you know, what did you write, and they read it to each other, and they literally both wrote about sex in different views, but they both wrote about the same thing, and they were like, "Oh, that makes it easy." Like, okay, we just wrote the first song, and came together. But that's ended up being kind of how they wrote a lot of songs. For like "I Miss You," they did the same thing. They went to separate rooms, and they both help each other write stuff. I think Tom actually even said like Mark was better with verses a lot of times, so which I totally agree with. I think Tom writes better choruses. I think Mark writes better verses. If you look at like their whole career, but it worked out where that's kind of really how they wrote a lot of the songs. And like oh man, so there's a couple mixing and like drum notes for Feeling This as well. So Travis has like a Latin groove in the chorus, and he uses a cowbell. And now it's like the cowbell is, that's synonymous. That's a part of the song.
Yeah.
But when he was recording it, he originally just did it as a joke, and because he thought nobody was gonna like it.
He has a fever.
But yeah, and he just did it as a joke, but it ended up working really well. And I think after this album came out, Travis Barker had his own signature cowbell on like I remember I tried to buy it, but he came out with a signature cowbell after this.
See, he's a master marketer. He really is, man. He knows what he's doing there. He's a businessman.
At the end, where everybody comes all a cappella and all the instruments and everything drops out, that was kind of an accident too. The guy engineering the song, he forgot to fade the vocals away. So when he faded the instruments away and it was just the vocals, and Mark thought it was really cool because he was listening to a lot of Beach Boys at the time. So he was just like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome. Leave it. That's how the song's ending. Done." So it was kind of funny, like accidental things that happen in engineering and when you're writing an album. Those are the kind of things that I definitely like to hear.
Where'd they shoot the video for Feeling This?
It's like I found it again. I found the address. Found it on Google Maps. It's an abandoned prison. I think in LA. I think it's where it was.
You have a future as a private detective after this. I swear to God. You could probably find Amelia Earhart at this point. Like you've really gotten into this finding shit.
Oh yeah. Let's see. What are some other song notes? The song "Always," which was another single off the album. Everybody refers to that one as the 80s track. It's very 80s.
Yes.
There was a guy who actually pointed out, as a critic or somebody, actually pointed out the riff from this song is very similar to Another Girl, Another Planet.
They covered that too on the Greatest Hits album.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny. I think they actually recorded it at the same time they did all this. So I thought that was kind of funny that it ended up being like a song that they did. And because they used that for the intro to Meet the Barkers.
Always?
No, Another Girl, Another Planet.
Oh, okay. Because I never watched Meet the Barkers. I knew it existed, but I never got into the show.
I started rewatching it just because I had to.
Rewatching it, okay, Mark.
I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I remember when it came out, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like I can't wait to watch this." I went back and started watching it, and I was just like, "This is awkward." Travis is very, very high, and it's kind of funny to go back now because now he talks about it. He's like, "Oh, dude, all of his addictions and everything like that." There was like a dinner when they were planning a wedding, and he just couldn't even comprehend anything. And I was just going back like, here comes the train wreck, and to know how their marriage like ends and everything. So
yeah, it was good television, man. Marriages falling apart is fantastic television. We know this, man. This is facts.
Oh yeah,
facts of life. The video for this song, though, so I mentioned it was the lowest charting of their singles. They had 4 singles, right?
Yes. Yeah. They have 4 singles.
Lowest charting single, best video, though, I would argue.
This, honestly, I think you might have asked me what my favorite video was that they did before. Mm-hmm. Maybe we just talked about which album, like off End of the State. Always is one of my favorite albums they did ever. And it is strictly, if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
It's really good and engaging. It's like a 4-minute film. It's really good.
You can't look away. It's like 3 bars, 1, 2, 3 stacked, and they essentially filmed, Mark, Tom, Travis, whatever order, and they put their bodies together, and then sometimes they're all in one. It's a whole scene where like each of them interact with this. It was like an Australian pop star, Sophie Monk, I think was her name. And they each interact with her, and each story is a little different. Travis, I think, makes out with her at one point. I think in all the videos, I think only Travis has made out with any girls.
Well, I remember,
in like a bunch of videos.
Yeah, I remember she was in her underwear parading around. Good on her.
Briefly.
Briefly, yes. Well, this was hormones were raging when this video came out for me. So you gotta, certain things are gonna stick out of my mind. And I had no idea that was a pop star. I just assumed it was an actress or something like that. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know either until I started looking into everything.
Drop my vape.
But oh, dude. So this one's for you. So the outro of Always is 4 separate basses being played.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Mark said he recorded 4 separate basses to get that bass sound at the end.
That's too much. That's not. You know what I mean? Like you're doing yourself a disservice live. That's too much. It came out great, but like, what are you doing, man?
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Let's do
Feeling This.
Yes. Well, no, we did feel this. I Miss You.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I Miss You. That was. Oh, there's another. They put good videos for this song, for this whole album. Really, Down was okay, but I Miss You was another one. The very. It was dark and like black and gray, kind of Nightmare Before Christmassy / goth. I'm pretty sure.
I hate that video. I hate the fucking.
I'm pretty sure this video inspired Hot Topic.
Yeah, it inspired. It made Hot Topic. I don't care if it was a thing before this video. It really, and you can tell, like, they talk about Jack and Sally and shit. It's like some Nightmare Before Christmas shit. Which, all right, let me throw up an unpopular opinion, okay? From the 3-point line, I fucking hate A Nightmare Before Christmas. I fucking despise that movie and the culture around it, and I don't care who knows it.
It's a good movie, and it's quick. It's a good quick Halloween or Christmas movie. It's great. Exactly. You get 2 holidays out of it.
You could try to convince me. I've had people clutch their pearls at me, like, and I don't care anymore. I don't care who knows it. As soon as he starts talking, we can live like Jack and Sally. I love I Miss You, but legitimately, every time I hear that lyric, I'm like, yeah, fuck you.
That was I used to think that was a Mark thing, and it's not. It was a Travis thing. He asked for that line to be in there for him and Shayna because they had a wedding inspired by Nightmare Before Christmas.
aged like milk.
Yeah, dude, this song, when they recorded it, they had like 50 to 70 tracks on their mixing and mastering. Can you imagine how many tracks? Dude, that's so many. It's each track is, an instrument, a vocal, a harmony, a keyboard, a bass. They use 4 basses on Always. Who knows how many goddamn basses they used on this?
He probably could have used 8. I don't know, but there's a piano, there's strings, there's like you said, there's everything. This song, they really just went. They're like, let's just make something. Because when you hear them play it live, I love the way they play it live as a trio. It's really neat, but they were like, let's just fucking layer this one the fuck up. We'll never be able to play this one properly live.
Dude, on like a UK release of the album, there is James Guthrie. There's a James Guthrie remix, and I'd never heard it before until I started doing research, and I went and listened to it. It's like, it was okay, but I was like, why did they release a remix of this song with like the UK? They made it somehow more ambient,
more goth.
They essentially just took the drums out and just made it like just more piano and ambience. Really
bullshit. You can't have that.
the guy that made this video made the "Smack My Bitch Up" video.
Oh,
You guys remember that?
I was reading that note because I thought it was the guy who wrote "Smack My Bitch Up." I was like, the guy from fucking The Prodigy who made this video.
Smack my bitch up.
That's what was it? They had Firestarter too. That was another one. They had.
Oh yeah,
they're fantastic. All right. Well, I Miss You is a fantastic one, but we'll talk about Down for a second because Down, a lot of people know Terry Crews was in this music video, and this may have been one of his first like bigger roles. Maybe I don't know what he was doing in 2003. Quite honestly,
I meant to look up
or 4.
I meant to look up what he was doing to see what that kind of entailed. Are you gonna look that up real quick, Brett?
Dude.
You look that up. I'll look up some. I'll tell you guys some facts. Another thing I meant to double check, but I didn't, so I'm just going with it. I think this is the first time Travis Barker's voice is recorded. I always thought that the voice of the whisper in between like the verses and choruses of like "This Must Be the End." I always thought it was Mark, but I saw a note that said, "Oh yeah," like that whole thing. I thought it was Mark the whole time, but I found a note that said it was Travis, and I'd never heard that before, but I think that'd be funny if that's like the only voice, because he has a voice later on in other albums, but they always make fun of him because he never talks and he doesn't. I thought it was crazy. He did a reality show. I was like, I'd never heard this fucker talk at all, like ever.
Well, here I have handled the Terry Crews situation, and this is what I've come up with. So he had a breakout role in what was it, Friday After Next. For Crews, so apparently he was a security guard for Ice Cube. He was in Friday After Next. I know this is a blink-182 podcast, but this is a slight deviation into Terry Crews because this is pretty neat. So he was in Friday After Next. That was in 2002, and that was like, I guess he had like a kind of a small role in there, but it was like his big break. He was in White Chicks in 2004, Longest Yard in 2005. So the Down music video had to have been in like 2004, 2005. So he was this was at when he was like starting to heat up and was because in The Longest Yard he's hysterical. I remember. Oh
yeah, he's like the hamburger guy. He's always pulling like Max out of his like underwear and shit. That was. I don't even remember what that character's name was, but that was hilarious.
It's been a long time since I've seen that. And then he was in Everybody Hates Chris. So like he really picked up around this time. So again, fun fact, he was in the Down music video as a cop. I'm not sure why, but he was there.
He was like chasing. The video premise is like he's chasing a guy named Trouble, but all the other actors were actually like, I think they're like all like ex-gang members and stuff who are part of like some group that helps people get out of gangs, I guess, in LA. So it was kind of good casting. Gave everybody work.
Yeah, and I think it's weird here. So this song apparently was dedicated to DJ AM or AM. I don't know how it's pronounced. I have no idea.
That's
weird foreshadowing.
Yeah. Well, no, it was.
Fuck.
I think it was later. You know what, man? I wrote that in there, and I don't remember when they dedicated it to him. Yeah, because it's like 8 years later.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like at the time they recorded it. I was like,
no, it had to do with because of him passing away, but I don't remember when they did it. I think I found that and I just wrote it down. Maybe they started. I think maybe they started playing it live and they just would dedicate it to him. I could be wrong. That's a, I got 17 pages of notes here. Look, they're not all going to be perfect.
No, they're not, and we're going to keep banging through here because we broke down the album as much as we can, and like the singles and the recording process. Real quick, we can give them just our favorites.
Ooh, well, we got your Robert Smith. We can go back to that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Do Robert Smith. Yes. You spurned me before and took him away from me.
So yeah. So I have like two. I think I have 2 song notes left, and one's Robert Smith, and the other one's the last song. So I remember when I got this album and I listened to it and I got to the song All of This, and I did not know who the fuck was singing.
Neither did I.
And I was just like, Mark's voice is broken. What happened to him? And because I don't even think Robert Smith was credited on the album. or I think I'm trying to feel like, a lot of times they'd be like, hey, this song featuring so and so, and I think it was like in like the liner notes maybe, but I remember at the time not realizing who the hell was singing it. But basically, they wrote this song. I don't remember if we covered it before, but they love The Cure. Mark dressed like The Cure and Robert Smith when he was in high school. There's a couple great pictures of him. But they love The Cure. So they wrote this song and they were like, fuck it, let's shoot for the stars. Let's send them a track. They wrote the music. Tom wrote like the first 2 lines, and then they just sent it to Robert Smith and like, let's just see what happens. But they were scared that he was going to be like, are they the fuck a dog guys? Like, they want me to be on a song with them. So like, fuck off. No. But he actually said something. I'll read it here. His quote about why he did the song was, nobody knows what kind of songs you're going to write in the future, and nobody knows the full potential of any band. Like, I really like the music you sent me. And he sent back the song because he recorded his part in England. He got the song, he loved it, and he recorded his parts, and they sent him back, and they could not believe that they got Robert Smith to be on a song.
And it's so good.
Oh, dude, it's one of my favorite songs to play on drums when I go play drums. The sound, just the last couple bars where it's even like just the billowing, echoing drums, and it's just the coolest sounds of just echoes. I don't know. It's the way they recorded it even was just great.
It was my first exposure to Robert Smith too. I hadn't known about The Cure at that point. And it was pretty funny how they did that show MTV Icons, and they did that cover of A Letter to Elise, which breaks my heart that they never got in the studio and recorded. How the fuck do you not do that? It was so good. And you see, they cut to Robert Smith. I watched that whole show. Not live, but I watched it, the tape of it. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of like AFI played on it and shit, and they do a really good job. But blink-182 is the only one who didn't just do a cover. They made a song their own. And they keep cutting to Robert Smith, and he's got this, like, his hand over his face. He's like he's cheesing. Like, he's probably trying to look all goth and cool, but he's like, holy fuck, this is awesome.
That's a musician watching another musician face. Just
because we don't.
Callie thinks I am miserable at other people's shows. She's like, do you like this band? I was like, I love this. This is the best thing I've ever seen. She's like, you look like you hate them and you want to destroy them.
No, it's different. And I'll go off a little bit because that feeling that, like, it's hard to describe. Because, like, I don't want to get up in front of a band and hoot and holler, you guys are great. Like, that's not what gets me when I'm when a musician pulls me to the side after the show, it's 12 or 1, you're starting to load up, and he's next to you, you get a drink, he's like, hey, like, song 4, man, that was fucking good. That means so much more. Like, it's much more impactful because like, I wanted to take the time to tell you that on my own. So
it's late, and you came up, and especially if you point out something specific, it's like, oh, you listened, like that.
Mm-hmm. Even if you critique me
right here,
if you critique me on, hey, in song 2 or whatever, like, or maybe like, your bass tone, blah blah blah, whatever it is. Okay, you listened. You were listening. Like, I really appreciate that. But sidetrack. We'll do that a couple of times on this little, because our brains are fried. We need to take a break from the blink knowledge every now and again.
Oh yeah.
But let's move on here. I do want to know your personal. We had one more song fact, or was it? Are you ready for personals?
Say it again. Sorry, Siri keeps interrupting me on my computer,
Siri, man.
And taking over.
Siri can get fucked. All right, this is our podcast. We're not sponsored by Apple, whatever their fucking CEO's name is. Not Steve Jobs anymore.
No way, no how.
I don't have any more faith in them. The Jobs man isn't gone. The guy who thought he can cure his cancer with fruit. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, here.
Go for it.
Talk a second. I'm going to try and turn Siri off. Talk about do you see the picture I loaded?
Of the jam? Yeah, absolutely. So you're showing me this here, and the Blink-182 logo changed. It's been the logo now, and it's stayed the logo pretty much since this album. The smiley face with the 5 arrows, it changed to 6 eventually. But apparently Travis came up with the smiley face logo that's used, and he came up with the arrows based on this band called The Jam. And I can't pull the picture up on the video, but you can just imagine it yourself. I'm gonna need you to do that much for me.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. I'm back. I turned Siri off.
No, you're good. You're good. I just gave the people.
Getting very annoying.
I just gave them the information about the logo and The Jam and all that good shit. How they changed.
Oh, and actually on Netflix, I don't know if you've seen. There's L.A. Originals. Has been popping up on Netflix, and it's about the guy who actually came up with the logo and all the artwork on the album. It was Mr. Cartoon. And the show's not about him designing that logo, the artwork, but he does a lot of like street art and tattoos, and Travis was obviously, friends with him, and they got him to design it all. I mean, the whole album, even just, did you have the physical album when it came out?
Yes, the first one. It's been so long. I remember the CD was pink.
Dude,
with black.
It was a piece of art.
Yes. It's been so long. I want to I got to look it up again, because it was like I do remember loving the aesthetic of the CD. How much like the black the logo was drawn in black and was just like that matte pink.
Oh yeah. And like the liner book, they wanted to treat it like a piece of artwork. And I remember this was the first liner book that they did so they had all the lyrics, but they actually had like a lot of these notes come from the liner book, whereas they actually like that blue photo with like 3 rows down you're looking at. That's one of the pages.
Oh yeah,
lyrics,
liner book.
And then they have like handwritten notes about each song and stuff like that. And I remember it was the coolest book, and I loved it because it was just so much. It was perfect. It was just so much information. They, you could tell that they put a lot of work in, and they wanted to really share it. A lot of books you get with albums, it's like they'll slam all of the lyrics and thank yous on like one page, and then boom, done. And they just
or they'll leave
on. They actually
an entire song out like we did.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Mistakes happen. But it's a forgotten art, the album book, because there's so many. I mean, there's still physical releases, but like you said, people, I guess, don't appreciate it as much, and they don't feel a need to do it. I know so many people, especially we know, the popular thing for local musicians is the sleeve, where it's just the front and the back. There is no book. So that's something I could really appreciate, that they still had the the liner notes and all that shit. And I really wish I had a copy still, because it looks cool as shit.
Yeah, I used to have the physical copy. I don't even know where that album ended up. It went away.
Well, now it's like all of my albums, I keep everything I have on Spotify, and it's all there, and having it at the tip of your finger. I know it's nice to hold something in your hands, yada yada, but the fact that I pay $8 a month, or whatever Spotify is now. Last time I checked, it was $8. They could have upped that shit on me. But it's all like I was able to listen to the Blink-182, the self-titled album or untitled, the Angels and Airwaves, the Plus 44. Like I was able to get all that done today while I was driving around.
It's nice, Let's see, what else about this? The song "Not Now," which, if you're just like a casual Blink listener, you probably didn't hear that song. I think they eventually added it to the Greatest Hits album.
Yes,
but it was like it was a B-side that they put out. I think like the UK version. But that was one. It ended up on the Greatest Hits, but that was another good one.
That's right. Not Now wasn't on the album proper. Why do I remember? That's some Mandela effect shit, because I remember that being on self-titled, and as soon as you said that, I went and looked. I have the Spotify page up, and I was like, "Holy shit, it is not on there."
Yep.
Holy fuck! All right. You got any more song facts for us before we dive into our personal? I just want to do a personal favorite from each of us, and then we can move on to the real fucking juicy shit.
Yep, yeah, you can do some song facts, and then I probably have like a couple little Mark, Tom, and Travis facts about just what was going on in their life at this point. But we'll finish up the album, and then that way we can, I can let you know where everybody's at this point.
Yes.
Before we transfer into the chaos.
The fucking chaos.
where everyone is at mentally and physically.
Yes, the shit you came here for, the main event, folks. But I have to go with, and I'm gonna get it wrong, Athenia. I don't know. How do you say it? Fuck, you said it right. Astenia. That song is just really, just across the board, fantastic. I like the harmony. I like the lyrics. I like the power in the riff and the everything. That song has everything I want. I also like I'm Lost Without You. I feel like that's like underrated. Like that one's awesome. It has that the dueling drum, whatever the fuck that is at the end. But just like a really emotional ballad type song.
Dude, I didn't go over that. That song took them months to record. And I remember the first couple times I learned to play drums to it, and I was trying to figure out how the hell Travis had enough hands to play the ending. Like, if you haven't heard the song, go listen to it. It's like got like a 2-minute drum solo at the end, essentially. And I remember I didn't understand how he was making the sounds. And then later I learned that he recorded 2 drum tracks and then just overlap them.
He's dueling. It's like he's dueling himself. Yeah. It's amazing.
I mean, I didn't know that for a little bit, and I was like, "How the fuck's he doing this?" I was like, "God, he's good."
Yes. What do you got? Favorite and underrated.
Favorite, Stockholm Syndrome, the one you were singing to me when we kicked this off. Actually, when you started talking to me,
that was the last. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the like dueling vocals, and I think that might be my favorite song.
What's up with the letter, like the interlude in the beginning? I don't.
The letter.
Yeah. What the fuck's
the
going
World
on
War
there?
II letters? That's like Mark's grandmother's letters that his grandfather wrote her, and they found them, and then they had somebody like a voice actor, I think, come in and read them.
I miss you, my darling. I've gone over your notes 1,000 times.
I don't like the skip button, which is nice.
I hate it. I really don't like it. That's the only part of the album that I'm like, why the fuck did you do this?
It's such a piece of art.
It is. But this sucks because it leads into Stockholm Syndrome. And I don't like there's certain albums I just need to listen to cover to cover. That's one of them. I don't want to break the immersion. You're fucking me over there with that.
Yeah, that one does. It does kind of.
And the video has weird shaved head Mark, which that's the only time I've ever seen that, and he looks just funny. And I don't mean to comment on another man's appearance, but don't ever shave your fucking head again, Mark Hoppus. Please.
No, I need this unicorn haircut that he's been rocking.
Keep going as far out as you can with that until you look like Sleazy P. Martini. Like, I just fucking go for it. All right. Well, you got an underrated one?
I think my underrated one, I think it might be Go.
Yes. With Fallen Interlude at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that might be the underrated. If that's the one I'm thinking of, I think Go, it's either Go or Easy Target. Oh, no. Go is the one I like. Easy Target is actually a story about Jerry Finn. It was, where is it? So he was in love with this girl, Holly, who comes up a couple times in the album.
Holly, let me know.
I was always wondering who the fuck Holly was, and it's a girl that Jerry Finn liked. And she invited him over, and her and a friend drenched him with a hose and humiliated him, and then he rode home on his bike. And that was Easy Target. But Go is my pick, I think, for underrated.
Nice.
I like that one. It's quick, snappy. I'm pretty sure that's a Mark song. That's he loves writing his 2-minute pop punk, get in, get out.
That song's 1.5 minutes.
I cannot find the video, but there is a version where they play that song. I think it's in Japan. I don't know if they were on drugs. I mean, well, I know they were on drugs, but I don't know what kind of drugs.
Safe to presume.
They play the song in like 45 seconds. It was the fastest that I've ever seen them play a song. It was like they always play songs fast. I remember
Yeah.
watching it, and the
Yeah.
notes were even like, "What the hell is wrong with them?" Like, the song's already a quick song. Like, how did they even do it? It
It rem-
was
it reminded me because there's a good example of this. They always in every live video play all their songs a lot faster, which is always like that rule. They say slow down. Like if you think you're going too slow, slow down a little more. Trust me. Like you'll play the way it needs to be. You'll do it. If you get too excited, you'll get ahead of yourself. They have a live version of Anthem Part 2 at the end of this record. I don't know if that was like a deluxe edition or a hidden track, but it's really good.
It was like one of like the UK or like Australia B-side
Right.
stuff.
But dude, it is. They are going balls to the wall. They probably cut like 20 seconds, 30 seconds off the song.
Oh yeah.
It's really good. Again, like I said before, but just slow it down, fellers.
Yeah, I forget what album. It might be this album actually. Might be even Dollar Bill too. I forget where I read the note, but they talked about how like they were just you could tell that they were rushing all the old songs because they wanted to get to the new ones. They would just like punish the old songs, and they're like, okay, now we can do the like crazy, fun, artsy ones that have 80 tracks to them in the studio. Let's see if we can do it with 3.
Yeah. Now,
Or 5.
right. And now, like you mentioned before, this seems like a good time to set the stage. So, folks, as we near being an hour into this podcast, now it begins.
What page are we on?
We are on page. Well, so we hopped around a little bit. We moved around a little bit. So there is no page. We're about halfway through the notes. So
okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not terrible, but we have a few facts here for you to kind of set the stage for what is inevitably going to be the demise of Blink-182. And they did reunite, but they never captured this again. And it's kind of sad, but it wasn't going to happen twice. Like this was, it feels like they just put the entirety of what Blink-182 was and just Goku spirit bombed. And that's what the fucking self-titled record is. But we'll start with some Travis facts. We touched on most of these. Like he what was her name? Shanna Mokler?
Shannon Mokler? I think I always said Shannon Mokler. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, they started dating, and they get married in this time too. But she's Miss USA, and he's the drummer for Blink. So when they got together, tabloids, cameras, which made Tom uneasy because Tom doesn't want any. He's a private dude, even though he's a crazy person and puts himself out there. It's on his terms, and I don't think he liked all the just everything going around. But so Travis Barker, he like broke his foot during this. They went to Australia and he broke his foot, and he had to teach himself to play both the hi-hat and the kick drum with his left foot.
Fuck, how do you?
And because he broke his foot in Australia and then kept trying to play, and then they finally went to a doctor, and they were just like, what they said, I think Mark described it as, he said, the doctor said that most people who have injuries like this were in a horrible motorcycle accident. And I think he tripped off the bus or something. But they had to cancel their tour in Australia. And dude, I'm going to put together at some point a chart of how many tours Blink-182 cancels. So far, I mean, they got to be like 4. And there's an interview much later on in life where Tom talks about every time they cancel a European tour, something horrible happens and Blink-182 gets even bigger. It's like, they're just like, dude, no, literally. Like, we canceled European tour, I think during Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. He was like, and it just made us bigger. And then when we were doing the the Blink-182 Untitled tour. He's like, we canceled our European trip, and it just made people want us more. It's like, we got even bigger. It's like, we just got to keep canceling on Europe.
Europe loves Blink-182. That does make sense. You have a funny Travis Barker quote here. That was talking about this time. That was a good time of my life. I was smoking just enough weed and taking just enough pills. I don't agree with the logic entirely, but I'm glad he was like Mr. Leahy of Trailer Park Boys fame has said, you know, I'm in the pocket, bud. I'm drunk enough to enjoy myself, but sober enough to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he also starts LaSalle Records around this time too, right?
He starts what?
LaSalle. How do you say it? His record label.
Oh yeah, I think it's LaSalle. He named it after a Cadillac. Maybe it's like LaSalle or something. Classic. But yeah, he started another business. Yeah,
one of his 5
businesses.
Fucking businesses.
And the people. So everybody gets to thank a bunch of different people. I tried to see if they hid any like funny stuff in their thanking, or you know, stuff that could be whatever. I think Travis actually had like the more funnier ones. He thanks Slayer and Frank Sinatra and the best divorce attorney, Michelle Brown. And I went and looked up the divorce attorney and tried to find her and like just see like, what's your life like?
What's going on with Michelle Brown now? Was he married before Shanna?
Yeah. So he had a wife before and then married her.
Racking up wives.
Yeah. And then let's see. Let's go to Mark facts. We'll do Tom last.
Yes. Oh yes. Everything. The theme of this is going to be Tom last. Just of the rest of the series.
Really. Yeah. So Mark. Let's see. I kind of covered. There's World War II letters from his grandmother, and the song "Here's Your Letter," according to Mark, it was about people's inability to communicate with one another and how words and explanations only confuse the issues. And I essentially was just like, Boxcar Racer much? It's like, I'm pretty sure that's what that song is about. And then, yeah, Mark's thank yous were whatever. He thanks like the USO and he thanks all the individual aircraft carriers and stuff.
That's pretty dope, though.
Yeah, this is when they did their USO tour. They got to do like 2 or 3 aircraft carriers and a couple bases.
And there's that picture with emo-ass Tom inside of a fucking tank. And I'm just like, I've never seen someone so out of place in any situation. Like it's like the Spider-Man sitting at the desk meme.
Yeah.
Right. And then Tom. Do you have the best ones written here? Read that first one you wrote down.
Oh, yeah. So Tom, when he was talking about in the house, he's like, if I wasn't smoking half of Colombia, I must have racked up $3 million in porn.
That's insane. I don't think he's kidding. That seems like he was being serious.
I think he was. Dude, so remember, his back still hurt at this point. So he hurt his back, and that's why Boxcar Racer happened. His back isn't necessarily better. And he's still taking a lot of like Vicodin and still self-medicating. And this is Tom's where a bit of, mental spiral comes in. Because his mood was already kind of dark while recording this. He's kind of bummed out. His brother is in the Navy, and this is when the Iraq War is going on. I don't know if you remember, but mission accomplished. We got it done.
We did it.
It was over.
It was.
We left the Middle East.
And we never went back.
Everything's good. We solved terrorism.
Mm-hmm. We won. We beat terrorism. Do you remember back in like when we had the victory in Iraq Day, we had VI Day, and we all celebrated in the streets of Baltimore and just... Oh, no, never mind. That was the riots, and that happened years later. I'm sorry. I'm misremembering. Sorry. Crazy me. I get it all mixed up sometimes. It's just so crazy out there. Anywho, sorry. I do have no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, Tom's thank yous. He is the only guy to not thank the other band members. But I think Mark thanks Travis and Tom like almost immediately, like right after Family, and Travis slips him in towards like halfway. Tom doesn't even thank Mark or Travis, which that could be something little, something stupid, but when you look at what happened afterwards, maybe there was unconscious, things happening there.
Well, it seems like after they got out of the studio, they were getting along. I mean, was there talk of them fighting a lot while they recorded? It seemed like it was a pretty positive experience, and that like the issues started cropping up when they started touring again.
Yeah, it was the tours, because they were touring so much on this album. They were doing the whole world, and it was that really took a toll. And I mean, and they did. I mean, it was Enema State, and then Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and they kind of like Mark took a break, but even though Tom took a break, he still went and started another band and toured.
Yeah,
even though he was hurt and shouldn't have been doing that. He should have taken the time to rest and heal. And then they went back into the studio and they recorded this, and then they went right back on tour. So Tom really hadn't taken a break yet. He's just been going nonstop since, I don't know, at least Dude Ranch. I mean, before really 1994.
Yeah,
they've been going hard.
That's been their job, and you got to remember I'm guessing like maybe between 95 and 96, maybe around 96 when they started getting that mainstream radio play. This was their job. They were living out of vans, like they were scrapping to get by, and I mean, I guess that work ethic never goes away. That like grind never goes away, and you get the itch too. Like you really do. Like in a lot of these mediums, whether it's acting or one of my favorites, wrestling or playing music, once you do it, you get the itch, and you're like, man, I gotta play, I gotta tour, I gotta do something, even though it may not be in the best interest of your family or maybe even yourself. But I do remember here, so we brought this up earlier in the podcast. I feel like it's a good time to start sliding into the breakup here a little bit. Tom stated that he wanted to take 6 months off, a half of a year, which, as we both said, does not sound unreasonable in the slightest. Like, at all. It sounds
not even close. Like 6 months.
It's 6 months ago was what? Like, Chris, like, are people gonna miss you? Are you gonna stop being famous in that 6 months? Are you losing out on an amount of money that you haven't saved up? Again, I looked at their net worth on Celebrity Net Worth. I don't know if that's true, but it says they're worth like $40-50 million each. You can't take 6 months off? I don't understand.
Yeah, they got some money in the bank. And I was there's an interview in Start the Machine, which is a video. It's like a documentary essentially that Angels and Airwaves did, and there's an interview in there where Tom talks about his side, of what happened. And I mean, some time had passed, so you can tell he's had time to think about it, but he was bummed. He's like, I understand why they're upset about taking time off. He's like, but I don't understand why they're upset because I want to spend time with my family. Mm-hmm. He's like, that's the crazy part.
That does seem selfish when you think about it. Like, that really, I don't know. That would bother me. Like, I'd feel betrayed. I actually side with him there.
Yeah, I was Team Tom kind of before, anyways. With the breakup, some of the ways he went about everything, I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. But reasons I've heard, which we'll go over some more later on as well. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. He was busted up. If somebody told me, he was like, "No, I need you back in the studio. We're going on tour. Like, we don't have time." I was like, we're not, it's not money. Like, you're not, and we're not going to lose any fans. We just put out the biggest record of our career.
If anything, you'll gain fans.
We could take a year and a half to take a 6 month break, just recharge for nothing else, for writing. Like, that's just go. It's hard to pump out songs when you're not living your life as well.
Let me put my daughter to bed. Yeah, let me put my daughter to bed, kiss my wife goodnight, and then I'll sit on my couch and write songs in an environment that makes me feel comfortable. I love writing with my friends. I love it. But nothing is more comfortable than when you're by yourself, alone with your thoughts in your home or your comfortable space, or whatever that may be. And like that could have benefited them, and it probably would have if they would have taken that 6 months off. I don't mean to focus on this too much, but it's really baffled me. Like it really like it bothers me. It bothers me because this 6 months could have changed everything. It could have maybe helped them heal as friends and as a band. There's a very, and I always loop this around to pro wrestling. I always have a little quote for you. Jim Cornette has a very fantastic quote, and it's mainly about, you know, wrestlers returning and coming back. How can you miss me if I don't go away? Like, how can you, if we see each other every day? It's one of the things like, dude, when's the last time we've seen each other in person? Like, I can't wait to see you in Cali, and it makes me excited. Not like I got sick of you, but when we spent a month and a half with each other on the road, I was like, okay, cool. I'll see you guys hopefully in a month or two. Bye. There's been enough of this. I'm sure
I remember pulling up and everybody getting out of the van and just like, I hugged everybody and I was like, don't lose my fucking number.
Yeah,
you know,
let's take a little break. And we did it. We really didn't see we had to do the Jersey run, but I remember that week break we didn't talk at all. We didn't fucking talk at all. But it would have, that 6 months could have, I would have loved to have heard, as we mentioned, Enema, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is the sequel to Enema. I really feel like they could have expanded on the concept of what Untitled, Self-Titled, whatever, what have you, was. And I would have liked to have seen, even if it was just one more before they broke up, I think they could have done something really cool, like a record that would have come out instead of, we don't need to whisper. That time would have been maybe Blink-182 in space. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking it would have been. But we'll never know.
Let's see. So other than like the 6 month thing, Tom, I think I said before, he was not a fan of Meet the Barkers. Mm-hmm. That made him quite uneasy. Oh my God, they go to like an award show or something, and I see it's in the episode of Meet the Barkers where I think it's like they played it like the Grammys or something, or like Nickelodeon, or I don't remember what award show it was. But the three band members, like when they're on like the red carpet, they're not even like interacting with each other really, and you can tell Tom does not like all the cameras and doesn't like. You can tell.
Were they featured on the show heavily?
Did they what?
Were they featured on the show heavily, Mark and Tom?
No, like not really. They just happen to all be like in the same place, and they were just, it was basically just Travis and his girl making out, and then they panned over to Tom real quick, and he's looking around, and like everybody, he's like, I don't even know what we're doing here, like I don't know, and he didn't really say it jokingly. He was, you could tell he was already just.
They don't seem like red carpet types, except maybe the Grammys. Like, of course, you get dressed up a little bit, but the Barkers seem like the kind of people where, like, certain bands you just show up at premieres for movies, and you know what I mean? Just the red carpet, whatever the fuck that is. They never seemed super comfortable with that. At least Mark and Tom. I don't know them personally, but watching their careers and such. I'm curious of this. I'm curious about this though, okay? Because we talked about the hatred they seem to have for Europe and everything inside of it. So the band gets into this massive 3-hour fight at the beginning of the tour. Then Tom says he doesn't want to record another album. What is? I'm trying to. How do you fight for 3 hours? How do you have the fucking energy?
It's a long fight. It's a 3-hour fight, and they were just, they were going in circles because he didn't want. It's not that he didn't want to record another. I mean, he wanted the 6 months off, but they wanted him to, be like, all right, 6 months off, and then like we go back, we hit this, and this is when Tom wants to start doing other shit. He doesn't know necessarily what he wants to do, but he's like, okay, I want to take a break, I want to reset. Recalibrate, and they're just, Mark and I don't know. I feel like I guess I can see Travis. I mean, everybody's also fucking super high and on Vicodin, like not Vicodin, on pain pills. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
we forget about this. Like that really, it contribute. It lubricates the fight. It really just makes it easier for things to kind of get rolling. The fight engine popping.
When you're in this constant like Vicodin coma and Travis is always high and taking pills, like it's gonna create an atmosphere. Like shit's gonna go down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they canceled the European tour, and then they hadn't broken up yet. They took like 3 months, and then the tsunami happened, and it was like Southeast Asia, and there was like a big charity thing going on for which I forget what it was called, but I didn't realize like Linkin Park started, and they've done a ton of charity shows. Forget what their charity is called now, but it was their show, and Mark asked Tom if he would want to play it, and Tom was like, all right, whatever, for charity, like that's fine. They started practicing, and the fights just continued. And Mark and Travis, they said that like Tom is trying to control everything, and that's not how things work. And it's like, you're not the leader of the band. Like, we're equal, 3 equals. Like, you can't just tell us what you're gonna do. Tom was just like, the next album we do, I'm recording at my house, and I will send you Pro Tools like files. And after doing what they did with Untitled, like, why the fuck would we do that? Like, that's like the craziest thing. Obviously we write better and we're together. Like, we can find something, we can find like a studio in between, like we can come up with something. Tom's like, no, this is how it's going to be. And like I said, he's getting paranoid.
Yeah,
he needs to control everything. And
more foreshadowing.
That is,
the paranoia is a real big factor as Tom starts to blossom into a rocket ship building man.
He is.
I would get too far.
Like 2 or 3 years into Vicodin at this point, and he can't control everything. And Mark and Travis are not having it. And so after the show, or maybe not even show. I don't actually remember if they played a show or not. But the band manager calls up Mark and Travis, and he informs them that Tom has quit. And Tom changed his phone number so that they couldn't even call him. And they were all, they're all living in different cities.
Right.
So I think Mark and Travis were in LA, and I think Tom was in San Diego. But yeah, like straight up quit through the manager and changed his number. It's just like, I quit, lose my fucking number.
He ghosted them. He legitimately ghosted people he had been friends with, and now
17 years, I think.
I want to act shocked now, but you know me well, and I haven't done it to this degree, but I think we all know that if I could easily change my number, and that would have happened a few times. Not with you, but with other people.
100%.
I would. That would, if it was more accessible, especially before I had a family, I would be unreachable, unreachable, unstoppable.
I am gone.
I am in the wind. But I'm realizing that's not healthy to do, because it even says here that later in an interview he thought he was triumphant for what he did, but it turns out he realized it was his greatest failure, biggest failure. I would put it.
Which he very much, like in the next coming months, he, what you can tell when things start changing in his head, and he starts realizing like, oh, what the fuck did I do? And he shoulders all the blame. Like he complains about like Mark and Travis, what they said, but he's just like, nope. He's like, this was my fault. Like, I did this. I try to control everything. I don't want to communicate. He's like, yes, they made me upset by not understanding me about my family. He's like, but I also wasn't communicating well. He's like, I literally had my manager quit for me. Like, how fucked up is that? He's like, I've known these dudes for 17 years, or like my best friend, Mark. I was like, we were inseparable, and now he can't even call me.
Yeah,
like that's sad.
You know,
It's depressing.
Do you know what that's like, Tyler? That's almost like if, let's just say, there's a guy named Alex and he's in a band with his friend named, Tyler, and they have to kick out a drummer. It reminds me of, a story that could be true or could not be true. And let's just say that fella Tyler walked up. All right, I'm going to say it too much. Let's just say me, you, and another band member were walking up to the house, and we were going to kick a person out face to face. And all of a sudden, when we get to the door, we realize you're not there anymore. It's
but
so.
I forget what I think it's. I was like, I gotta go pick up my kid.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, it was at a party. Remember, it was a tattoo party. Again, sidetrack here, but this is a funny one. See this? So me and Tyler match tattoos, kind of. That's Dumpster Kitty. His is on the back of his leg. I don't know if you can get that on camera, but yeah. See if you can pop the leg up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's up there. So that's Dumpster Kitty. We have different variations of it, but it's Dumpster Kitty nonetheless. There's 2 other people in the world who have it. This drummer was going to get a tattoo of Dumpster Kitty that day, and we had to call like an audible. Like we were gonna wait a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah, but we had to call an audible at the last second, and like we need to tell him today. And I had to fucking do it, and like because. You chickened out because your son was there, I think, and he was out back playing, but you're like, I got to do something with Andrew. And our guitar player who was with us, who I'm not friendly with anymore either, he didn't say anything, so I was like, well, fuck, it's got to be me. But hey, we all have our flaws, and I can understand. I get that. It's ending your relationship with a band. It's weird. It's funny because a lot of the times you stay friends with those people, but a lot of times it can like destroy friendships. It's almost like saying I don't want to be your friend anymore.
That's the hard part. Yeah, because you do become family. You spend so much time together, so it's breaking up with the family. It's a divorce.
It is. It really is. And this, as with divorce. Mom and dad sometimes talk shit about each other or kind of passive-aggressively throw shit out into the ether and start dating other people, and you get caught. Us, the fans, we're caught in the middle of this. Now, the contrast between what Tom was saying about his post Blink-182 music and what Mark was saying about post Blink-182 music is so vastly different on 2 completely separate planes that it is comical. As you put here,
I literally had to make a whole section about how Tom handles music after Blink, and how Mark handles music after Blink is one note, and it's really in April 2005. Mark announces on like some MTV show or something that him and Travis have started Plus 44. And that's all you hear until the album drops. Tom, he hid for a while, so he hid for like 7 months.
Yeah, 7 months.
So he doesn't say anything until April. Mark says something. In September, that's when Tom announces Angels and Airwaves, and
here we go.
So at this point, the band from this point on doesn't speak for 3 years.
08 from 05 to 08 they don't speak.
They do not speak for 3 years, and here I don't know how we even skip around really. So here I'll hit Mark. Let's hit Mark and Travis real quick.
Yeah, let's get them because this is this chunk of the show now. This is really going to be the Tom show. It's really getting it gets funky with them, and I'm sorry I keep laughing to the mic because I'm looking forward to a lot of these notes, and I know it's just batshit. But go ahead, let's do Mark first and Travis as you said.
So, like I said, Mark literally he says one thing one time, and then him and Travis agreed not to talk about it ever again until they just drop the record. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of stuff. Mark, after Blink, my notes, literally, I just wrote sadness, deep, deep sadness and void. That is Mark afterwards. But this is when he does start his podcast. Hi, my name is Mark, which was at the time pretty innovative.
Dude, he's a podfather. He really honestly is like one of those OG. He was even before like your Mark Marons and your Colt Cabanas who were doing podcasts in 2008. Like I remember specifically getting a free episode of Hi, my name is Mark because you used to have to pay for them, I think. Or maybe they were free. I can't remember. But I remember I got this one episode where he had, and I can't remember his name, but it was this band called The Format. I loved their shit. They went on, the lead singer of The Format went on to form Fun. Everybody knows. They had that, that number one fucking hit single in 2012, whatever it was. Tonight. Yeah. He had them on his he had that guy on his podcast in 2006 when he was just like some indie dude. And I loved it. He was a really good podcaster, Mark Hoppus. I really, really didn't when I got into podcasting, he wasn't an influence to me because it had been so long at that point since I'd listened to his show. But like looking back, it was like, man, he was fucking great. He was a good interviewer.
Yeah, he did get because he had I don't know if he does the talk show at this point. I feel like he doesn't do that because I don't think I even dove into that yet. He does talk shows too.
That was after the plane crash. Like that's after the plane crash where he gets the show on Fuse. Hoppus on Music.
Yeah.
And that's not a thing anymore.
But yeah, so they announced Plus 44, which is named after the area code where they talked about it in Europe on that tour that they canceled.
I think it's London, right? Or England or some shit?
I think I didn't even look it up. I looked up the divorce lawyer and where she's based out of, but I didn't look up where the area code is.
I'm confident it's London or England or something of that nature.
So my notes on Plus 44 in their album, I re-listened to the album and I did research, and honestly, I didn't come up with much because I couldn't. Mark is depressing and there's just not a lot of content. So I have a couple notes here. So this is the last thing Jerry Finn does with any members of Blink-182. Like I said, Mark gave no interviews. He recorded in secrecy. Him and Travis started like in his kitchen or basement, and it was super electronic, just out of necessity because they didn't have a studio. But when it came time to record, this is when Mark and Travis buy a studio together, so that they can record it. And they still kept some electronic stuff, but it's not anywhere near what it was when they were writing and like all the demos and stuff. My personal opinion on this album is it's the most depressing thing Mark has ever written.
Yes, by far.
If you want to sum up this record in one song, it is No It Isn't. And the lyrics of the chorus, this is a song written at Tom. The whole record is, I think. But this literally lyrics are, please understand, this isn't just goodbye. This is I can't stand you. This is where the road crashed into the ocean. It rises all around me, and now we're barely breathing. 1,000 faces we will choose to ignore. That I can't stand you line.
That's cuts. Like this isn't just goodbye. This is I can't stand you. That is definitive. Like I don't love you anymore. You're not my one and only. Fuck
yeah. You. If you want to know how Mark felt after the breakup, that's it. Just go listen to that song, and you have the basic gist of the whole album.
That song, though, so it is a kind of a blah album. It got blah reviews. It sold blah. I feel it's a C- type album. No, It Isn't, though, is a really good song, and I liked. They put like the demo version of that song out in 2005. And like I liked the demo.
Somebody leaked it by accident.
Yeah, maybe like that. I like that version better.
The just like straight acoustic one.
Yeah.
Or I don't even. I remember listening to it. I can't remember like how it was.
I think there's drums. Like a second, but there isn't like that roll. You know what I mean? It's just kind of pops in. At least I think so.
Yeah.
But this,
they didn't do much. They were gonna go do another album. I think they cut their tour short too. I think. And they were going to go do another album, and then Mark and Travis are going to go do solo albums instead. I I think the only review I liked of this album, let's see, there were more ideas here than Blink-182 had in an entire career. It's just that they're the same ideas that Jimmy Eat World had on their last LP. What a great review.
That's great. All right, so which LP was that? Futures then. I need to compare. I need to compare Futures and When Your Heart Stops Beating, because that may be another layer to my fandom for Jimmy Eat World. Because I know how much Mark Hoppus like loves them. Like, makes me love Mark Hoppus more.
Oh yeah.
So this record, I remember getting it in 06. I remember there was different colors. There was like the green, I can't remember what they were, but there was like, it looked like Splash, like a splash of paint. That was pretty much the album cover. It's just a plus 44. I thought that was pretty cool. But apparently you went to the album release party, didn't you? Or the album release show?
It wasn't the album release show. It was, the album came out like, actually, so I went and I did try and find what day I went. And the day the album dropped, I went to a show the night before. So I think I pre-ordered it. So I think I got the album like a day before, because I remember listening to the album on the way to the show so that I would have an inkling of how some of the songs would go. And I'm glad I did, because this was when Travis Barker had broken his arm and he had a cast, and he had it molded like this. So he played drums with his hand and he just smoked cigarettes the entire show.
And this was when Plus 44 started doing like media and shit, and like I remember this, the beginning of their media tours and them playing on like I don't know, late night talk shows and shit. He had the cast on, like that's how they came out. He had the fucking cast on, or at least at a lot of the first wave of things, the publicity that they did. Yeah, this fucking guy, which is cool. He play a lot, like he had a custom made drum kit. He was able to use his feet for a lot of shit.
I feel like, dude, they cancel so many tours and Travis breaks so many things.
No, he does.
That's just what he does.
But that's really, I mean, there's not much. Do you have anything else special for Plus? I mean, this was really not juicy or exciting. It was almost, I appreciate the mature. Then they were very mature about how they approached this album. But you know, man, that ain't rock and roll, okay? And Tom DeLonge, that motherfucker is rock and roll, in the worst sense.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to Tom.
No, we have to Travis. Or you want to do Tom?
We're gonna skip over Travis. Literally, he starts like more companies, gets a shoe line, does more transplants. He starts the Travis and DJ AM stuff.
He shot in heaven. Now he cries.
Oh, you know what? He does get married and then divorced like a year later. That's right.
Nice. But it's fine. It's all good.
I read him and his wife or ex-wife. I remember now. At the time, they were just putting all of their grievances out on MySpace blogs, and I went back and read them. They're ridiculous. But anyways, Tom. So, Tom post breakup, he essentially has a nervous breakdown. I mean, he went on after he quits, he goes on like a 3-week journey, spiritual journey from family and friends, just to contemplate the whole divorce of his family, and just like the complete shit show he created. Like I said, he is a lot of Vicodin. My man likes Vicodin. Yep. But while he does this, he gets into politics. And this is when he started supporting John Kerry and doing the campaign with him. I don't know if you remember that.
He looks like, wow, fuck, what's his name? That one character, that one old cartoon character, he's a dog. He sounds like this. That's what John Kerry looks like.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't think about it. Huckleberry Jam, I don't know. Some dumb shit like that.
But yeah, this is doing the John Kerry stint is when that invigorated him. And that's when he came up with Angels and Airwaves. So he built a studio at home, learned to play piano and kind of do produce and stuff. And and this is the birth of Space Tom. This is it. This is it. This is what
We're here.
3 years of Vicodin, UFOs, a lifetime of UFOs, conspiracies, aliens. This is the epitome of Tom. Angels and Airwaves is essentially space rock. That's the genre.
It's its own genre. It really is.
Yeah.
Even in the video for the adventure and the aesthetic, which I'll real note, I will appreciate that Plus 44 was just a record. Angels and Airwaves was an entire aesthetic, a look, a theme, and everything. And they did it with both music and the imagery and the videos and the things that surrounded it. But that video for the adventure, it is Space Tom, him just floating.
I think it won awards, actually.
It's good. It's really good, but it's Space Tom.
Yeah. Oh, it's Space Tom. That's the first time we see Tom without a guitar.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Which is weird.
That's when Tom moves. We see all of Tom's new dance moves, and he unleashes he's got his leather like spaceman jacket, and he just unleashes a whole new genre. But Angels and Airwaves, commonly referred to like acronym style as Ava, which is his daughter's name. It is Tom, David Kennedy, who is still in the band, Adam Willard, who was in the band for 2 albums, but left just because, not on a bad note, just because Tom went back to Blink.
Yeah.
So, I think he went. And then Ryan Sin from the Distillers. And he's only here for 1 album.
Yes, and I think he has issues with the band. I don't know.
He posted one thing of when he left, and the band gave one story and he gave another, but they're both very broad.
Yeah, so he just he dipped. I think he's back with the Distillers when they did their reunion tour. So he's, by the way, side note, Ryan Sin's a great bass player. The bass in the Distillers is really, really like prominent and good. I've always appreciated it. But they get Matt Watcher. He replaces him.
I think they said they had problems with him, like in writing and stuff like that. He just didn't click.
Yeah,
which I get that. Yeah. Especially, and this is the Tom show. Like, this is Tom's writing. The bulk. He sets the groundwork for every song, and then David Kennedy comes in and everybody else. But I think David Kennedy really seemed like he took most of like the lead on, like, after Tom brings a song in, that's who helps kind of write the rest of it. But Tom he is controlling every nook and cranny of this.
And you can tell, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, when you have a project, it's okay to be the leader of a project. Like, with Blink-182, it's not okay because that was founded as 3 friends. But, like, if it's like, hey, I'm going to do my project and bring in musicians I want to work with, that's how it works. That's the business. But this, I've been itching to touch on this so fucking much. So you did mention that Tom's management, they had an intervention with him about the Vicodin, right? Or like his frame of mind.
And the band. Yeah. Well, I think they were separate, but yeah. So Tom so Angels and Airwaves hadn't put out a song, nothing. And Tom went on this press tour and said some of the craziest shit. And to the point of where his management had to have like I said, an intervention with him and ask him, like, dude, are you okay? Like, everybody's used to Tom joking around with Blink and saying crazy stuff, but it was different. He is carrying himself more differently. He's trying to take himself more seriously. And so now the things he's saying, everybody's taking seriously. And I mean, some of the things he says in this tour, I mean, I can just roll through the list.
Please don't skip one.
Some of the things.
Skip none of them.
So Angels and Airwaves will be the greatest rock and roll revolution for this generation. That was how he announced the band. And, you could go like, okay, that's Tom. And he was saying things like, it's going to usher in an entire new culture of youth. and he'll like go into all these details of how it's going to start a cultural revolution. And I love my fans. I'm not going to let you down. The music we all grew to cherish that was made not only will continue, but will be much, much better. All I can say is hold on and prepare. Big things are coming. It's my favorite line from Tom. Let's see another one. I have a new band. It's the most amazing music I have ever made by a long shot. I am 2 songs from finishing the best fucking album anyone has heard in 20 years. Best music made in decades. It's so much more powerful, emotional, and melodic than Boxcar and Blink put together. I am currently shitting my pants. You all know, I didn't want Blink to go on hiatus, but I had to, and you will all learn why soon.
He is fucking losing it, and we're halfway through. I'm sorry. These are all real too. These are confirmed. Like these are.
Oh yeah,
direct.
Most of it's in this one interview. Kerrang. I honestly think people are going to flip out when they hear this. I'm not even joking right now. It's so good. It's so much better than anything I've ever done. And I think people will suspect God came down and wrote half of it.
That's fucked up.
That's the one that in Start the Machine, the documentary they bring that up. Because they're just like, dude, you said God came down and wrote this. And he's like, no, like half of it. Let's see. He's talking about Start the Machine. He's like, it's the story of the album, which is the story of the breakup of the biggest bands in the world and the creation of the world's greatest band. And then here's the fucked up one. I always thought Blink-182 was my life, but I've realized that it wasn't, and it was just the first stepping stone. I've heard Plus 44, and it's totally different to what I'm doing. They are amazing musicians, Mark and Travis. He's like, but I wouldn't want to be in their situation when this record comes out next year. That's how confident I am about this. So he goes and like talks shit about Mark and Travis, like when they didn't do anything.
Nothing, and that's like he made the comparison. It wasn't anybody else, because I guess some people compared Plus 44 to Angels and Airwaves, but I really remember people not giving a shit, and people liked both.
Yeah, I like both. I think they were just trying to start shit.
Yeah, but the whole like the best music in generations, like this is really he was batty. He was bad shit.
And I didn't get like the exact date of when he stopped taking all the Vicodin, but he had to go a week without it, and he had like he came off of it. He had tons of like hallucinations and had like a freak out for a week, and that was how he was like, okay, I have to get off of this. And his band having an intervention and the management having like an intervention, so he had to get his shit together.
But he really never did. In a sense, when his screw popped loose, it seemed like it just stayed permanently loose.
Yes, but he does carry himself a little differently. I mean, even just the way he's writing, I think, is a little different now as well from like the first album, which he was still learning. It's a new band developing the sound, but because so let me hop there. So We Don't Need to Whisper.
06. I remember I got this on the day it was released. I got it at the Kmart, at the Crofton Center shopping place center, whatever you'd like to call it. I remember very vividly going to get that record and putting it on and being like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it took a second listen through for me to be like, "Oh, this is pretty tight." It took a minute.
If you went in with not wanting Blink-182, with a open landscape of a mind, you would get it. But if you were looking for take off your pants and jacket, you were not going to get that.
No, not at all. Not even fucking close.
This is definitely the height of Tom's World War II fascination.
You could see that a lot in the movie that he eventually makes a movie, but like they put out a trailer for a fucking movie for We Don't Need to Whisper, okay? And it had all these planes. Like I feel like he got on Blender or whatever the fuck it was, and just spent like popped together a trailer without knowing what his fucking movie was gonna be. Because that movie, I'm sure it came out. I think it did, but it wasn't that at all. Like, he got really into World War II. This album's about World War II. Okay, like, we can't even get around it. Like,
go watch the first 10 minutes of Start the Machine. It's the most batshit intro I've ever seen to a band documentary.
Did you find it on YouTube? Because as soon as we get off of here,
yes.
I'm gonna be by myself.
It's on YouTube.
It's very late as we record this. It's 11:30 p.m. and I'm gonna really have a long. You know, there's like late nights where you stay up till 1 or 2 and you watch something weird and you have a long think with yourself. I'm trying to have one of those.
This will be that. It's like a 2-hour movie, I think.
Holy shit.
But the first 10 minutes is just a mass amount of CGI with like war and planes and men in suits marching, and it's just go like it's indescribable. And then it just turns into like a making the album.
Yeah, which is fucking what?
It's the great. It's very Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
You know, just madness kind of intro. I watched it twice. Like I said, it's like, what is happening?
Yeah, but so the themes were prevalent. It's a great album. It performed better. Pretty much like the reviews I saw. So pretty much, Plus 44's album was mixed to negative, and Angels and Airwaves was mixed to mixed positive. You know what I mean? Like it was. Yeah. Which I think it deserved to be considered a positive album. I think We Don't Need to Whisper is a vastly superior album to When Your Heart Stops Beating. Like vastly. In just,
for sure.
Yeah, just all that batty shit that he said. Of course he wasn't going to be able to live up to that. But honestly, if he hadn't have said anything, right? If he had just stayed quiet for those 7 months and continued to stay quiet and then just dropped this record, people would have been like, holy shit. This is unreal.
I'll give him credit. He created a band that belongs in arenas.
Yes.
Like, this is arena music. Like, he said he wanted to make the biggest band in the world. He did, in a way. Like, it's music that's meant to be heard in a big venue, wide open, with him spreading his arms like Jesus in every scene of every video and every song he records for the next whatever years. Right. He loves Jesus pose.
Yes, he loves Christ on the cross. Crucify me, Yed. He's real into that. But I want to move forward because this album, you know, you put here in the notes, your two favorites are my two favorites too. It's Do It For Me Now and The Adventure. I'll share an embarrassing story because I should, and it makes sense that I need to do this. It's the first time I've ever told this story, so get ready. When I was in 8th grade, there was this girl I was really into. Actually, no, she was really into me, and it was really weird because she was, you know, shouldn't have been, but she was really into me. So I was like, I guess I could impress her. So I took the lyrics from "Do It For Me Now," I changed a couple things around, and I said I wrote it for her.
Oh my
God. Yeah, and fuck.
Did she figure it out?
No. She eventually figured out all the other bullshit things I had said, but that wasn't one of them. I told her,
awesome.
Yeah, I told her I was working on a recording and I would show it to her, and I put I put the phone up to the speaker and I played the song, and like, you know, it was over the home telephone, so like it sounded rough, and I was like, yeah, I'm just working on that for you, and
I'm in the studio laying it down.
I got away with that specific lie. I didn't get away with any of the others. Needless to say, it didn't work out for me.
You guys didn't stay together.
Didn't work out. Yeah, didn't work out in the long run. But I wanted to share that because I was in 8th grade and I still fucking think about that shit. Every time I hear that song, I still fucking think about that shit. But this was they of course they do some touring, there's some playing, but this album they outperformed Plus 44, and they followed that up next year with I Empire, which I think is like it's a drop in quality in a bit. I don't think it's terrible, but like
really, I think I might actually even like it better.
No, I don't like. In my opinion, like we can do a whole I Empire episode because I didn't dive too much into it.
Yeah, I tried listening to it.
There's a
A
couple
little
of
bit
great
leading up
songs
to
in
this
there, like
again.
Secret
I love the
Crowds.
album cover.
I hate it. I fucking
The album
hate it.
cover? Oh my
It's just
god.
like it's seeing Tom's big fucking pumpkin potato head.
I'm
Like
looking at it right now.
it's fucking
It's
I hate
very
it.
yeah, it's very there you go. Yeah. It's very Star Warsy 80s. I mean it's a direct rip off of like 10 other things that were created. But
I shudder to think of ever putting my face on an album that I've made. I like save that shit for the liner notes or the back at least.
uh but oh my god. So, Everything's Magic.
All
It's the
right.
first song
Yeah.
off I Empire. So first off, I feel like every goddamn song off of both these albums were leaked. These dudes cannot put security in their computers to save their goddamn life. Um, all of them were leaked, but Everything's Magic is, I think that's the first single. They put out a music video for it. And I saw the music video when it came out, and it's whatever. It's the band in like a high school field, and there's high school kids everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at the stars or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whatever. So I'm researching this because I'm trying to rewatch all the music videos so I can talk about stuff. And apparently, like, was it '07 to like 2013? I think is when it was posted. They post the alternate video to Everything's Magic. And did you watch it?
I did not. I feel bad because as soon as you start talking about it, I feel bad. You sent me the link. I need to do it as soon as I get. I'm looking at the fucking link you sent me right now.
I can go ahead and just describe it for the fans. It's a bonkers video. It's basically like it's like it's based off like a Laurel and Hardy kind of like it's an old skit where they dress up very like Chaplin style.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking
And
at
it's
it as we
Tom.
speak.
It's Tom and it's another guy who I don't know. I've been trying to figure out who it is for sure. Um, and they just do like Charlie Chaplin kind of bits or like the comedy bits, like a silent movie. But it should have been a video for Voyeur on Dude Ranch because like Tom's trying. I know why they didn't use this video. Like they were trying to take themselves super seriously, and Tom wanted to be taken seriously. And then he made this video where he's goofy and looks like Charlie Chaplin, does goofy faces and wrestles, and a guy gets naked, and he ends up in a tree looking at a girl in a window. And I was like, oh my god, they just made a Dude Ranch video.
Yeah,
Like,
it's that era. It never left him, and you can tell it's
No.
still in there.
if you have time, I recommend anybody
I'm looking.
just go take.
Yeah,
go
I'm like
take 4
skipping.
minutes.
I'm skipping through it. Someone put here in the comments. Yep, here at 2:07, the Josie run. Holy shit,
Mhm.
that's the run from Josie.
Yep,
Okay,
it's
that
it's literally it's like an early Blink video.
it really is.
And They didn't.
From what I've
They didn't
seen.
release it.
From what I've seen, I need that. I gotta add that. I'm gonna go on like a Angels and Airwaves rabbit hole when we finish this up here because, sir, we've come to the bloody end of this. All right, this is not the fun part. So we are nearly 2 hours into this dive, and we've touched on the album, the breakup, the post breakup music, but now, as this title said, that was the drifting apart. The three of these guys come crashing together, quite literally and figuratively, in 2008, and I think I have the specifics pulled up here. So it was, I don't have the exact date, but it was just before midnight. They're headed for
Well, first, before Travis,
Oh
Jerry
yes,
Finn dies
I forgot.
in August, at the end of August,
Yeah,
of a brain hemorrhage.
that blows.
That was the fourth member of Blink. Like he is the reason we got Enema of the State, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, Untitled. That's why. He is awesome.
Yeah,
He made think of every great record you love from that time. He might have been involved. He did a lot.
that is.
But yes, then the next month, and you can go ahead.
Oh, because I'm reading.
Yeah, I actually I just put all the details in there. I didn't want to rewrite it. It needed to be just detailed as it is.
And I'm gonna read it. I'd read this out because I read ahead a little bit, and it's fucking chilling. Okay, so let me. So this was, I think it was September like 15th or something. I remember reading on it, but it was September, so it was a month after Jerry Finn dies. They're heading. What was it? They were leaving a special event from Jane's Addiction's Perry Farrell, and they had a private jet. Felt like a treat. So just before midnight, the plane headed to Van Nuys, California. Was racing down the runway when the occupants heard a loud bang. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, the plane was departing from the airport when air traffic controller saw sparks emanating from the plane. The pilot told the control tower that a tire had blown out and they would be aborting the takeoff. Instead, the plane hurtled down the airport's fence across a highway, crashed into an embankment. When everything stopped, I tried to get everyone I could, Barker remembers. Barker and Goldstein escaped the plane and ran in circles on the highway. Hearing others yell, "Stop, drop, and roll," Barker dropped to the ground. I don't mean to laugh. This is just crazy. Barker dropped to the ground, and Goldstein helped him put out the fire on his feet. Holy shit. I was lying next to Am as the plane was exploding, and I was screaming, and this is fucking eerie as shit. Are we alive? And it just goes on. They were both listed in critical conditions, and they were the only survivors of the crash. Now,
so 4 others died.
4 others did pass.
One of which is the reason for a lot of Travis's PTSD. So basically, I mean, Adam Goldstein, he comes out. He's hurt, but he's not Travis hurt. Travis is fucked up. He sustained 2nd and 3rd degree burns. He had like 16 surgeries, like tons of blood transfusions, skin grafts. He didn't really have any skin on his foot, and they were talking about amputating it, which is, he's a drummer, he needs it. But they managed to save his foot. I remember seeing like all of his tattoos had burned off, so he had to, and all the scar tissue. So he's like redone a ton of tattoos, and that's why he kind of started covering up everything. And he actually had invited his ex-wife, Shannon Mokler, on the plane, and she turned him down. She wanted to stay with the kids. So she was supposed to actually be on the flight, and the guy that he invited was like a security guard, and he died. And that fucked him up because he was like, fuck, like he wasn't even supposed to be there. Like I just invited him last minute as a treat, and I'm the reason he's dead, and that fucked Travis up.
Survivor's guilt is so real, so potent a form of grief. Like, my God. So this is, I mean, and of course, you could say there were 5 fatalities from this crash. A lot of people said DJ Am dies of a drug overdose a year later. The man was, and I can only imagine, was so broken from this. A lot of people say he died in that plane crash. It just took him a year to kind of catch up with it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
Have you ever seen, and I'm sure you have, if nobody else has ever seen it, the picture of the plane? I cannot believe any living creature was able to emerge from that. There was
like nothing left.
No, just complete. I can't put it together in my head, like how they survived or how you didn't get your head chopped off. I don't know. Just anything. Let alone be able to drum again. But
yeah,
I mean, this news breaks. It breaks fairly quickly, and I think.
Yeah. So Mark.
Yeah, this one you cover this one because I'm reeling from reading that.
So, and this is all the stuff I just went back over to and learned. Yeah. So, Hoppus, he gets the phone call in the middle of the night, and he immediately jumps on a plane and he flies to the burn unit, and he's by Travis's side. Remember, the band hasn't talked in 3 years. I mean, Mark and Travis had, but Tom hasn't talked to any of them in 3 years. Tom's in an airport, and he gets it from the news on the television. Because remember, he changed his number, so Mark can't call him.
Yeah.
So he sees it while he's getting ready to board a plane, and he said, like an interview, or I don't even know if it was an interview, but he said that he just broke down crying, and he was just like, I thought he was dead. He was like, I didn't know. Like, I saw that he was in a plane crash and that he was in the hospital. He's like, I thought for sure he was going to die. And he was like, I remember all I could think of was like, this can't be it. Like, I need to see him again. I need to play music with him again. Like, he can't be out of my life. And also like the whole, like, what did I do? Like, I got rid of my best friends, like life components. I think it all kind of came crashing in. And so he wrote a letter and like sent a picture to him in the hospital, and they all eventually met up in the hospital, and started kind of, communicating for the first time in 3 years, so it took a horrible plane crash, but it got all of them in the same room again. And then eventually they were hanging out in the studio, and it was actually Tom who started bringing it back up, being like, hey, where are you guys' heads at? How do you feel? Mm-hmm. Do you think we can try and get back together? He's like, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I wasn't in the room, so I don't know the conversation. I'm sure they were like, we've all done a lot of growing. Should have kicked Vicodin. So
yeah,
that should help.
I imagine that was a very mature, hopefully, a mature conversation. It doesn't feel like it was only 3 years. It feels like it was a lot longer. Well, 4, because 2009 is when they officially got back together. But 2005 to 2008, I felt like a lifetime, I guess, as a fan, maybe. Because I remember how long it felt like when they got back together. I was like, finally, it's been so long. But it had been a trip through high school.
Yeah. Well, because it took Travis like a year to get back to being healthy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes sense why. So then 2009, they're at the Grammys. And I remember watching this live where all 3 of them come walking on stage, and Travis is still like in a sling. And it was the most nonchalant.
It was terrible. I remember it. It was terrible.
It's like, God, you got, like, for how crazy and outgoing you guys are.
is back.
It was the most nonchalant, like, hey, like, we're back together, Yeah, for real. All right, guys, we're out.
And that is, well, my friend, that's where we're going to leave part 3, because it gets a little weird again. This, of course, was the top of the hill, really. It kind of rolls downhill from here, but getting into Space Cadet Tom is going to be such a treat for you and me. So we're taking the next part, really, we're not going to have as much music to focus on. You have Neighborhoods, Dogs Eating Dogs, but this is going to be a lot of the lunacy that just kind of happened with this reunited Blink.
Get To the Stars Academy. I was looking into To the Stars Academy stocks.
Wait,
you can buy.
Please don't buy any fucking stock.
It's 70. You have to buy 70 stocks minimum for like $350 in order to buy stocks in To the Stars Academy. It's like, yeah, $350.
All right. Well, that's enough foreshadowing for now, my friend. we've gone for 2 hours and 7 minutes here. This was the beefiest portion of our deep dive, and we appreciate you being here, listening, watching, no matter how you take this in. Tyler has a better mic now. He committed to this project. Yes, and I appreciate it very much. Tyler is he's the regular co-host from now on going forward. I'll have some guests on, but we're pretty much just doing this, us two. And man, that's it for now. I'm wore out.
I'm gonna go to bed. It's midnight.
Yeah, it's midnight. It's time to go to bed. I'm sure my wife wants to. I record in our bedroom, so this isn't a bathroom, I swear. There's a bedroom. Some people think I record in a bathroom. No, that's right. That's right here. But that's it for me. I am your host, Alex Walski, with my co-host, Tyler Cetera. You can watch this on twitch.tv/KillGo92. You could be here right now. Or KillGo92 on YouTube. This is the resident Yed expert, Tyler Cetera. Yed. And again, I'm Alex Walski. Thank you for listening, and that is it for us.
Good night.